brought me back to life.
You will be taking Jerry Ford as your next vice president. This comes from a book called Being Nixon. And apparently the Senate of the United States forced Jerry Ford on Nixon. So the only way Nixon could go forward was if Jerry Ford was his vice president.
The hero of that story, by the way.
Apparently that came from Gerald Ford's reputation. Gerald Ford apparently had this just stunning reputation for being anti-corrupt.
So the hero of that story is J.F. Terhorst. J.F. Terhorst was the Washington bureau chief for the Detroit News, which at the time was an extremely conservative newspaper, and he had tremendous affinity for Congressman Gerald Ford from Grand Rapids because of the characteristics to which you just referred. And when he was tapped to be his press secretary, he was delighted to leave the our side of the street and go to the dark side and go into government to represent Jerry Ford because he truly believed in the man. I don't remember how many days it was before he resigned, but it was immediately after the pardon. And he said, I resign because I cannot represent a man who pardoned Richard Nixon, who was supposed to come in and heal the nation, and he pardoned Richard Nixon. And I have never forgot Terhorst. He is a hero in my mind from, my side of the street, the journalistic side of the street. Great
Last
man.
thing I want to say, because other people remember, sometimes they let these things slip out, right? So Chuck Schumer, back in, I think it was either November, December, he was doing an interview, and he talked about the intelligence community, and the quote was like, you have to be careful because the intelligence community can screw you 6 ways to Sunday. I think it was a CNN interview. If I find it, I'll put it in that group chat. But sometimes
Well, he doesn't like the intelligence community. He doesn't like or trust the intelligence community. Remember that.
Yeah.
So, okay. Thank you, Daryl. We're right at 6 o'clock, so we will no longer add folks to the stage, but we will go into extra time so that everybody on the stage gets a chance to talk, and maybe, if the timing works out, when Stephen takes the microphone, it'll be 20 minutes after the hour, and I'll be able to say it's 4:20 somewhere. Les.
Thank you for bringing up the connection between the close relationship between Clinton and the Trumps. In particular, Clinton is the one that put his sister onto the federal bench. And so, and they would go on vacation.
Exactly.
And they would go on vacations, which is not surprising because the two daughters, it's a very small group of kids that are in their position, so they were one of the few peers. I have a question, and you know about Robert Maxwell, who's Ms. Maxwell's father, and he was an interesting character in the UK with, and I don't know if he was in the news business or what his business was, but he had been he had been disgraced as well, and Mr. Trump's comments that are captured on videotape don't age that well. Just saying that Jeffrey Epstein likes them on the young side. That does, with a smile. That doesn't, you kind of wonder if he had seen. And making fun of it doesn't age well.
So Robert Maxwell was involved in the media. He was a mogul in the United Kingdom, and he was a former member of Parliament, and he was involved in controversy over a pension fraud scheme, and then died mysteriously at sea. So that's the story about Mr. Maxwell. And what was the last point that you just made, Les? Because I was going to respond to it and it alludes.
Oh, it just seemed, I mean, there's stuff on videotape with Mr. Trump.
Right, thank you. So Michael Wolff, the biographer of Epstein, who did 100 hours plus of interviews, much of it on tape, claims that in one of those interviews, when he was talking about Epstein's relationship with Trump prior to the breakup over the real estate deal, Epstein asserted that they were best friends and brought out a Polaroid photograph or a number of Polaroid photographs to illustrate the point. He was very forthcoming. Now, I don't know whether he was concerned about his own mortality at that moment and wanted his side of the story on the record, because who would have thought that he would be as forthcoming as he was to Wolff? And according to Wolff, one of those photographs showed then private citizen Donald Trump with Epstein and a topless young lady of indeterminate age sitting on Trump's lap. Now, she could have been of age, and you may think that that is, totally inappropriate, and it might freak you out if, in fact, the story is accurate. But it lends credence to what an earlier caller said, I think it was Money, about the credibility of the president's assertions today that he knew nothing about what was going on. And this was at the Palm Beach house. This was at Epstein's Palm Beach mansion. That Trump had no knowledge of what Epstein was up to, despite their close relationship, until he found him acting creepy at Mar-a-Lago. I don't think we've ever heard the details of that alleged creepiness at Mar-a-Lago, but to me, when I heard this description of this Polaroid out of the mouth of Wolff, I'm thinking, well, that sounds creepy to me. So, just something to consider. Thank you, Les. We'll go to Merrill, Stephen, Chris, and our prodigal son, Odin Ware, who used to be a daily participant here, but is no longer here on a daily basis. But I get reports on you, sir. I get reports on you. I know you're active on Clubhouse, and I'm glad to hear that you are alive and well, and see now that you're alive and well. Merrill.
Okay, just a few things. Now, some major, some to think about. Number one of the young girls, I think she was about 14 years old. She was procured by Maxwell at Mar-a-Lago. She did a deposition. So, and I've heard the transcript of it. I've heard the transcript read. That's number one. Number two, if you recall, Trump's interview with Howard Stern, among them, he talked about how he would go into, just walk right into this universe, their dressing rooms, so that he could see them while they were dressing, see them nude. He also, if you dig deep, there's something about him even having gone in, possibly gone into Miss Junior Miss. These were teenagers. And
Right, but Epstein wasn't involved in those instances.
no, we're talking about Trump's. Okay, you're right. All right, all right. We'll just.
We're not in that strata. So that's what.
Gerald Ford said he had to ask.
But by the way, Merrill, we're having a hell of a time hearing you. You're in, you're out, you're in, you're out. It sounds like you have a microphone that's clicking in and clicking out. Yes, it's better now.
Okay.
Now it's bad. Are you using a headset?
No. Still bad?
No, now,
Okay. One of the things was that Joe Quote said that he had to ask his wife before he made the decision. I thought that was very smart. The other thing is that I'm not so much interested in the list. A-list. We don't know what A-list is. Where did it originate? I like the files. The files are going to have all 16 years of investigation this man was being done on him. People were coming there. He wasn't going a lot of places. Everybody was coming
so
there.
Meryl, if there's 16 years of investigation into his activities involving underage children.
Not just underage children, it involved more than underage.
All right, but let's just talk about the underage children. If I am under investigation by my local police department, the county police, the state police, the FBI, because my neighbors have reported that young girls are in and out of my townhouse, and people are coming up in limousines or in Ubers, older men who come into my house at the same time as these girls, which would cause them to believe that I was offering these girls up to entertain these gentlemen. And they launched an investigation for 16 years into my, and I would hope it would be like 16 days, not 16 years, before indictments were sought. But 16 years into my doing this in my townhouse, they're going to know who the men are who came in and out of the townhouse.
I agree.
And they are going to, they're going to prosecute them as well. Nobody, I seem to be the only one, maybe there are others, I hope there are others. Nobody is asking, what about them?
Well, you have to wonder whether or not all of them slept with young girls. We don't know that.
But the investigators ought to have an understanding of that. You know, you know as well as I do, especially with the feds, even if they believe that somebody is guilty of something, they are not going to lay charges unless they are, in their minds, 100% sure that they're going to get a conviction, because it's better in their minds.
Probably mute glitch. Repose space, everybody. We're just getting started. Go ahead, Rep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see that it looks like they're doing something, but I'm always worried that we just get nothing burgers, no arrests, no prosecutions. It's now almost August, and the president has been the president for 8 months. They tried to blow his head off, did everything they could do to make him seem like he's a Russian bed pisser. I mean, I think as Americans, we shouldn't be afraid of exacting justice, making arrests, using lawfare, and dragging these criminals into court and bankrupting them. So the sooner we see charges and arrests, the sooner we'll know they're not just giving us nothing burgers. Otherwise, it's just communication spam.
Sure. Okay. Let's go to George. Go ahead, George.
Yes, sir. I apologize if I insult your.
It kicked me.
They weren't saying anything. That's very likely. It's likely that people did know, but they didn't want to say anything. But yes, he was being investigated for that. He was being investigated for the money.
Okay. So again, to use my analogy, I hire a catering company to come and feed all these people. So if I'm the law enforcement agent trying to investigate me, I'm going to go to the catering company and I'm going to put the squeeze on somebody there or some people there to find out what the hell is going on in Gary's townhouse.
I agree. Just
Well, why didn't they do that?
remember something, Gary. They had 16 charges against him before, and he got what?
There was a deal. There was a deal to get, and it was Comey's daughter who picked up the gauntlet, not in Florida, but in the Southern District of New York, and that eventually led to his and Maxwell's convictions.
Absolutely.
And what does she get for that? She gets fired.
That's retribution. Okay, now the other thing is, we talked about Trump said he never heard from Bondi about that his name was in the files. Did anybody remember that a few days ago he said he never knew that the DOJ, the attorney from the DOJ, was going to be meeting with Maxwell? He was asked that. He said, really, I hadn't heard that.
Here's the thing about Donald Trump. He may not have heard through official channels, but he, as we know, he sits in front of the TV. He sits in front of the TV and he's watching cable news. And so if cable news is reporting that this, and everybody was reporting it, that this meeting was to occur, certainly the President of the United States did, even if all the President's men and women conspired to keep that away from him. Of course he knew.
Of course he knew. And the meeting, they've had two. Now, and these are chummy attorneys, and one of them was, Trump's attorney. These are chummy guys, and criminal attorneys do not go and have their client meet with anybody unless they know, first of all, what is it you're looking for? What are you going to do with it?
And what am I going to get out of it? What's my client going to get out of it? That's number one.
Exactly. So there's that. And I think that Trump is looking for, it is not necessarily a distraction as much as it is he wants more. And then he can use that. Because if you talk about Epstein wanting to hold things over people, that's Trump's nature too. So when we know that. So that could be what this is all about. And like you said, maybe they can't just commute her sentence to pardon her. She's going to get a deal if she gives them something they can use, bearing in mind that she was also indicted for perjury. So they've got that going also. But I do believe that Trump also, he held on to these files. He knew what was in the files before. If he knew about Obama, why didn't he tell us about Obama before? Why now? So everything, all the different things, the hedge people that he mentions, which there were a lot of people in finance that were meeting with Epstein, because that's what he was doing. He was saying he was representing in finance and investment. So yeah, there's a lot there. But I'm not going to say that everybody, including Trump, I'm not going to say that they're pedophiles. I'm not going to say they did anything. But I don't care about a list. You tell me where the list came from, how it was put together. Tell me the files. I want to see the files.
Brought up a real important point, and that is what good is Maxwell to them since she's been convicted of perjury. That speaks to her veracity. Of course, they may not be interested in her being beneficial to them in a court of law where her veracity will be attacked, but more in the court of public opinion.
Bearing in mind, she never testified. She never testified in her trial. So if she's got something to say, Trump wants the names. He wants to know not only who maybe slept with people, but who was there. Who are the people that you always saw there? You never saw me, right?
Well, I want that list too. Thank you, Meryl. Stephen, and if you speak for 4 minutes, you'll be on at 4:20 something.
Well, it's always 4:20 somewhere, regardless of what time zone you're in. So we're good, It's 4:20 for somebody, somewhere. That's only. See,
this is what happens. This is reefer madness, buddy. You smoke so much you can't even read the clock.
Quit it. But no, for real, you bring up some really good points. I was hearing somebody argue for, about the list, and arguing that, that these people were just going to get a massage. And I'm like, well, massages cost money, period. And happy endings cost money, period. If you're going and getting a massage and receiving a happy ending, you're guilty of pandering.
I don't even care about the pandering. I care about the age of the masseuse.
Right. Well, this was all regarding, I think there was one girl that gave her testimony about this, or this one massage therapist or massage person because nobody knows if she was a legit massage therapist. But it just amazes me to the lengths that the people who want to let Trump go, or like end the investigation, or don't care about the list, or don't want to see the documentation, because Meryl was absolutely correct. If there's 15, 16 years worth of investigation going on here, not only was Epstein doing his own dirty thing, but believe you me, the intelligence community was doing their dirty little thing too. Because if you don't think they want dirt on people just as much as Epstein wants dirt on people to control and manipulate the situations at hand, well, you're just like living in a bubble, and don't know anything about the intelligence community, because, well, that's how the intelligence community gets things done. Well, we know this about you, so if you don't comply, well, this will come out. And, but to the extent that people are willing to just reach outside of the box and like say, oh, no way in heck that so-and-so, went to Epstein's Island and, was granted favors to Epstein, that, the massage and the happy ending were part of that, and or ignoring the fact that somebody was paying for that massage and happy ending. And if you wanted to get dirt on somebody, you said it earlier, freaking you're in a room where, happy endings, cocaine, and you're a cop, and all this stuff is happening, well, you're guilty of complicity, and letting things happen and going against the oath that you took. And that's part of being in the crooked side of law enforcement, is that you are compromised. It's very difficult to keep an uncompromised position in said position because you're put in those situations. And I don't know, who, where, what, why, and how, but the obvious point, like you stated, if they were investigating you for having all these young girls at your house and all these old men coming in on a consistent basis, well, it doesn't take much to put two and two together. But it's not. It doesn't really surprise me, but for some reason I'm still like, wow, in awe of the ability for people to just ram their head in the sand and go la 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 for this person. In particular Donald Trump, who's already been convicted of felonies. He's already been, proven to be a liar, who's already, denied being on the list, even though and denied even seeing the list. And he knew he was on the list well before any fucking list was probably even discovered, because he knows his relationship with Epstein. And I would be shitting my pants if I knew this was all about to come to light. And yeah, I am sure, positive, there are many politicians, many up-to-the-up people on that list, and each one needs to be investigated individually and brought to freaking justice. Those girls need to be found. They need to give their testimony in safety and sanctuary where they're not going to be exposed, because they have that right. They're victims. And I believe the majority of the reason is that for 110%, there are so many people on that list that not only the CIA or the intelligence community has dirt on and doesn't want to lose that dirt on them, and still wants them to be in their positions of power so they can use that dirt on them. This goes way deeper than Trump, way deeper than Epstein even. And, he was just a facilitator mind. And he was getting tons of favors and being put in a position to have leverage over people. And it's a rare person that will not take advantage of those situations. And, you know, the people that are on the list that did not participate, again, they were probably not freaking ignorant of it, because I don't know about you, but I'm a man. If I was like, hey man, I just got a massage and she gave me a happy ending, man, I didn't even need to ask for it. I mean, I'd be telling everybody at the party,
And
like,
not
hey
only
man,
that,
that's
she
happy
was
ending from the
14 years
massage.
old, man.
Yeah, no, I get it. And that's sick and twisted, you know, and I can't, you know, and another argument they put forth, well, what's the legal age of consent? And I'm like, there is no legal age of consent for prostitution, buddy. Prostitution is prostitution, and if you're a woman giving out handy J's after a broken quote-unquote massage, I don't know about you, but I've seen plenty of massage parlors go down.
You know a lot about these massage parlors, Stephen, so thank you for your insight. We're going to move on.
You know, I got friends.
Yeah, I'm sure. So thank you, Stephen. We'll go to Chris and then Odie. And where before I go to Chris, I just want to say, because the previous caller mentioned the police, they, you know, and this is a little off topic, well, maybe way off topic, but I just want to address what he said. The police have two other things that contribute to this kind of cover up. They have something over you kind of thing, and that is the blue curtain and qualified immunity. Now, some of that's being busted open by cameras, but that adds to the protection that's already built in when it comes to holding police accountable when they violate people's Fourth Amendment rights. And I would say that it's sort of like going to Vegas. You know, the house always has the advantage. In these cases, the cops have the advantage, with the exception of when it's captured on video. Chris and Odienware.
Uh-oh, I'm going that way. No problem. Gary, you've done that thing again I like, where you make a thought-provoking conversation out of something that may just be able to sweep under the rug. Great job, Gary. Another great topic for another great day. It's not me,
it's the people who contribute like yourself.
Well, I'll take some credit, but it ain't up to me. I don't make the topics, and I missed your monologue. Normally it's really good, but I'm sure you've given people a lot of thought-provoking things since I've been here. Now, let's start from where you started at. Gary, I'm actually going to blame you for the reason Trump won't be able to shake this Epstein files. And the reason I say that is not because you were there and you have detailed information. No, it's because you are giving thought-provoking conversation that is going to leave us to continue to think about this even after the 5 weeks of them trying to shut down Congress. The reason I say that is because the questions that you're asking in here are the questions anybody that has ever had a RICO in their community knows. It takes about 5 to 8 years before that RICO gets to about 98%. Because kind of said, well, he was a friend of mine. I did not know what was going on. Here's the documentation.